It's Bella Gold.
Welcome to Signatures with Bella Gold. In today's episode, we're delighted to have a very distinguished guest, a dedicated leader and advocate for community empowerment. His dedication to empowering young people and nurturing your future leaders and of course the community and bringing out the best in people is next to none. Mr. Biodun Awoliyi is so passionate about his country, Nigeria, that he believes so much in this nation and what the nation has got to offer. His vast knowledge, wisdom, dedication, values. Please stay tuned, don't go away. Please stay tuned, don't go away, okay? Thank you.
It's Bella Gold.
Welcome, Mr. Biodun.
Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon and happy Democracy Day.
Oh, same to you too.
All right, thank you, Mr. Biodun. We are glad to have you set.
Yes, please.
And we really want to tap into your vast knowledge.
Okay.
Sure we can.
Obviously.
We want to explore everything.
Oh,
Your inspiring story.
I'm all yours.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's start from the scratch. Okay, they say family is the bedrock of every society.
Yes, please.
So how would you define family? What's an ideal family to you?
Oh. When you talk family, I come from a very large family. I have more than 6-7 elder brothers and numerous elder sisters. I have from a very large family. The Awoliyi family is a very large one. And so when you talk about family, I understand that my father is one who believes in bringing people together, and I think that has been one bedrock of what a family should be. Whether you're 3, 4, 5 or 6 within that family, being united in it. Even if you're from a polygamous home where you do not even know who's the mother of who, that shows family. And even after my father's death, the family is still as strong as it used to be. So that's family for me. Thank you.
Okay, so what role do you think family plays in nation building?
If you remove family from the nation, then there's no more nation. Because the truth is, the family is the first step. The child is born into a family, and so everything the child knows and being nurtured with comes from the family. Even though the child isn't like formally trained, or the parents sitting the child down to actually train, the family is actually where you watch and exemplate what you see. So the family is the first step of education any child can ever think of. And so within the community, the family is the first lesson or the first school a child actually goes to before he or she tends to go into the community itself. And so the family is the bedrock of every community you find yourself. Thank you.
Okay, so could you share some childhood experiences that has to do with your family and how it's motivated you to where you are today?
Okay, so like I said before, I come from a very large family, and my father is kind of a person who says every child must eat in the house. You must eat from the house, and it's something that unites the family. You cook in the same pot, you eat from the same pot, and so there's no discrimination within that environment. My father is a man who has wives from almost, I could say, the 3 tribes in Nigeria, although my mom is Delta, from Delta State. The other wives are either Yoruba, because we have a community. I use the word a community in my own house. So I think growing up for me has been within that family line, has been an experience of a lifetime, and it has actually shaped me to be who I am today. My family actually helped me create self-confidence in myself, in my community, and in my country in the large sense. And so my father is the kind of person who will tell you, you go to school, you study English, which is our legal franca, but when you come home, your local dialect must be well spoken. So if my father speaks to you in Yoruba, he expects you to respond back in what? In Yoruba. You do not, I repeat, you do not respond to him in English. He will tell you if you want to respond in English, you go back to school. He's a very learned person, was a legal practitioner, so you should understand that he understands English to the best of my knowledge. But he will tell you the culture of where you're from determines you. And so the family is where you're from, even within that community. And so that has been a bedrock for us. Thank you.
So is it okay to say that your upbringing actually propelled you into child rights and wanting to see every child become great?
Well, I could say so, because my father is the kind of person who, we have a motto in my household,
Okay.
which says big enough to contain you, small enough to reach you. That's the motto of my own household.
Big enough,
Enough to contain, small enough to reach you. Because growing up, a lot of people used to say my father had over 50 children, but not knowing that half of those numbers are actually either friends, cousins, that my father will actually adopt and feed, school, and so for me it became a norm that you must accept everybody the way they are, and so that has been a family culture. So we have a anthem in the house, we have a motto in the house, and so obviously when you go into the community with that sense of personal acceptance, it helps you in driving and also accepting people the way they are, because obviously every child is not the same, even in that kind of a house, whether you have the same parents or same father, same mother, or same father, different mother, you're still and different within that family line. So that's for me. That for me shows a community on its own. Thank you.
As a child in a family,
Yeah.
and wanting to discover him or herself, okay, how would that child possibly go about it, being that he's a child?
Okay, see, I tell parents, or maybe because of the kind of home I come up from, my father is one person who believes that a child has his own destiny. You could have, as a parent, you could have a stereotype to say this is what I want my child to be. But in my own household, my father will never force you to do what you do not want to do. Especially when my father sees that you turn into maybe an artist or a musical person, because while we were growing up, the best jobs were bankers, lawyers, doctors, and if you're not in any of those lines, you're not seen as being serious, But because of my kind of home, my father was one person who would tell you, which means let that child do what he or she wants to do, because he understands the belief that says every child came to this world with a destiny. And so I tell parents that forces their children to do things they are not open to do. I tell them, let the child explore. If the child still wants to go through that path in which you have designed for him or her, the child will still go. A good example is Fela Nicola Kokuti. His father wanted him to be a lawyer. Yes, he went to school and finished law. He finished, but went back to what?
Music.
To music, because that is his passion. And he made a rave in that same line, And so it's the same thing even right now. Parents should allow their children explore themselves, because every child has an identity. Whether you twins, quadruplets, or whatever, you have an identity for yourself. And so let that child explore his or herself. And by so doing, the child will discover himself. But if parents, I use the word parents now, because most times a lot of parents tend to force their children to do that thing in which they fail in. And they force it on these children and say, no, you must be like this. All because they want those children to live their own future and their own destiny. But those children came up with their own destinies. And so you find out that we have that problem in our society, where children do not feel fulfilled in the field in which they find themselves. But by the time they explore their personal discovery, then they begin to feel life anew. So I tell parents, let the child be a child, and let them explore. Let them make mistakes. Do not force them. They will learn from their mistakes. Yes. But also they have role models, and so those role models in which they have picked on will actually shape them in the type of life they would actually live. Thank you.
Okay, so when you say let them explore,
yeah,
it's sounding like let them do whatever they want,
okay,
however they want. How about discipline?
Okay, so when I say explore, you see, parents are supposed to be guardians. You're supposed to guide and not force. They're two different things. Now, when you tell someone, I am guiding you, I'm not saying do what I do, but I am there to hold your hands in putting you through that pathway that I believe you would be able to explore and get the best out of. So, but when I say I am your parent, I am just in charge of that person for that period of time, because you find out that there's no parent that lives forever, and which means if the child does not undergo that stage of exploration, the child does not really discover who he or she is. And so I tell parents, let your children explore, but it doesn't say do not discipline. Your discipline part of it is you holding the child and showing them the pathway. You are a guardian, right? So being a guardian is you helping that child go through the line in which he or she has discovered, not what you want them to be, right? So in my own school of thoughts, I tell them to, let the child explore and guide them through it. Thank you.
Okay, so how do parents cultivate this relationship with their children? There are parents that don't know how to relate with their kids. So what's the best advice?
Okay, so you see, maybe because of the country in which we find ourselves, where because of maybe Lagos, let me use the word Lagos, because if you stay in Ogun State where I work, you can easily have time for your children. Most parents do not create time for these children. They work Monday to Friday, and some even on Saturdays and on Sunday. You should create a bond between yourself and the child. Statistics or research have seen that parents who actually play with their children create children who have more confidence. And so I advise parents most time to at least take an hour or two and bond with your children, and which is something we do not do here in Nigeria. We have this mentality of daddy is a god, mommy is a goddess, and so I need to worship them. But you see, the atmosphere is changing. You understand? And parents needs to change with that atmosphere where you have a relationship with your children. For me, when my daughter is around and we'll talk, you will think she's my wife or my girlfriend, because the truth of the matter is there's a bond. Okay. And we tend to talk. We parents used to think that these children do not know, but that's the biggest mistake we make. Okay? And you should understand that yes, they may not be as exposed as you have been, but they also have a mind and a thought line in which they have grown. They are always on the internet. They've seen things that you don't even know. And so when you bond with them, it helps you to understand your child, and it closes up that vacuum between parents and children. And when that vacuum is closed, the child is free to discuss with you. My daughter talks to me about, daddy, there's a guy in my school that is always coming to disturb me. Or I say, does he like you? But how many of our parents will do that with their children? With the mentality of the Africanness in us. Do you understand? But if you do not do this with your children, they won't be free to communicate with you. But once they are free in communicating with you, there's nothing they will not discuss with you. And that creates a stronger bond between the parent and the children. And so, for me, the bond you create between your children actually helps that child grow to become a better person in the society and in the community she finds herself.
Okay, so how about children that are not able to bond with their parents? How about children that have been should I use the word abused by their parents?
Um, those are very unfortunate cases. Maybe in the sense where the parents, maybe one of the parents is died in the process, and so the father, because I have an experience of one where the mother died, and the daughter and the father, yeah, in this case, the father actually assaulted the girl child, and the only thing the man says in his head is that she looks like my wife, so she has that embodiment of, and you see at that point, I think the best thing to do is for that child to go into counseling, because if you do not break that chain, right? If there's even a Nigerian musician who had a song, Asha, who said one of our songs that's played away that kind of a situation. But the truth of the matter is that for children like that, they need to look for help, not within the parental line, but they could have a mentor of same sex with them. Even saying same sex, we need to be extra careful in whichever we open up to, because when you open up to the wrong person, then there's trouble. But for those children with abusive parents and all, I think they can look for a role model they can actually bond with, that can help them out. Because if I say their parents should bond with them, that's a strong one.
Okay, so what role do you think children can play in nation building?
Oh, children can play so much roles in nation building.
Nation building.
Yes, please. Because you see, okay, like in my daughter's school now, where they teach them the ethics of voting, campaigning, even before voting, like they want to run for positions like the head of school prefects,
Okay.
head boy, head girl, as all those positions you get in school.
That's a basic 6, I guess.
Well, they actually start campaign from basic 5.
Okay.
Because what they tend to do is that by the time you get to the second term, third term in basic 5, they tend to, who is interested. So the school creates like a currency where you pay for your what do you call it now, for your election funds. So at that point they're already teaching these children the act of nation building.
Okay.
So I think schools also help in developing children in the act of nation building, just the same way the home actually does. Because my father has this saying, charity begins at home, not outside. So it is the kind of training they get from home, right, that helps them in creating that nation building. Because if you come from a home where the father is an armed robber and the child knows the father is an armed robber, that child is not going to do well in society, unless the child is or herself decide that I do not want to be like my dad. And that's a very strong one. For a child to be able to decide that, the child must have gotten someone else who he or she takes as a role model, who is better than his father or her father. Do you understand? So the family is the bedrock. Any child who wants to be better in the society, it's the family first. The family is first. The family first. Right? Now, for nation building and children, again, and you say, whatever they see at home is what they will. So you cannot give what you don't have. So children who are given the opportunity can only exemplate what they meet or what they take away from their homes. Right? So children in nation building, it's a very big space, because how many adults will allow children to take some major decision? Although states like Lagos used to have one day governor, and these children only exemplate what they meet from their homes, and they tend to work towards that. The United Nations also have programs where youth and children are allowed to work voluntarily in democratic systems, because the truth here is that these children are more visional than the older ones. The older ones are thinking of putting food on the table. They're thinking of where money is going to come from. But these children are more creative. And because of their creative minds, if we can harness them, we can have these children create a better nation for us. But unless the parents or the adults, quote and unquote, tend to see these children as people who have potentials, right? Look at countries outside Nigeria. Most of the phones we have, most of the gadgets we run are being tested by children. Go to China. Children actually fabricate most of the equipment we tend to use. Because why? From the school system, from their homes, they tend to keep them that challenge to express themselves, and which is part of the things we don't have here in Nigeria. Most parents do not let their children talk. They will tell you when daddy and mommy is talking, what do? You shut up. But sometimes you allow these children talk because you do not know what angle in which they will see those things, and now they will play it. Thank you.
Okay, so at what age does a child start discovering himself or herself? What's the age? When does this child awareness come?
As far as I'm concerned, gone are the days where they say a child gets to know him or herself at age 5. Children now from age 2 tend to do some things they see adults do. And I tell most young parents, that when you give birth to your children, there are some things you should not do in front of them, even as babies. You will think that child is not seeing. The instant the child can recognize movements, and you see the child, you move your body and the child's eyes follows yourself, that child is already aware of his environment. And everything you do within that environment, the child records it. And it automatically gets to a state because of the way our brains are wired, right? And these children will flashback. And those things you think you've done years back, they keep doing it, and you'll be shocked at, like, when did you learn this? You've forgotten it was something you did when they were babies, And so for me, a child tends to discover his or herself from the age of 3.
3?
Yes. From the age of 3. And so by the age of 5, what he or she is doing is just letting the discovery in which you have grown between the age of 3, 4, and 5. You just tend to just express it. The child is already aware at age 3. And that's why, in modern Nigeria now, you hear parents say, this child I gave birth to is an old child. It's not that the child is old. It's just that the child is already aware of herself or himself. So by the time the child is 5, right, the child is already saying, no, I don't want this. I have a child that's close to me, and this child is just 2. But she will never allow you to touch her face if you're taking a bath to pour water. Why? Because she's scared that if water covers my face, I'm going to feel as if I'm not safe. You can't touch her private part. So you say you're even showering for her and you want to wash. She'll push your hand off.
H2?
H2. And tell me, is that child not aware of herself?
She is.
She is. So awareness for a child doesn't come with age. They have been aware from the first day they begin to notice image pass through them.